This is the Unstarving Musicians Podcast. I'm your host, Rabanzo. This podcast features conversations with indie music artists and indie pros and me. It's all intended to help other artists be better at marketing, business, the creative process, and all the other things that empower us to do more of what we love. Make music. Thank you for joining me again for another episode. I'm going to talk with Rachel Hearnden in this episode. She is a user of the collaboration app Tract, and you know I'm all fired up about collaboration apps lately. Hey, something special happened last week. The Rolling Stones reissued their 1973 album Goat's Head Soup. What's so special about that, you might ask? Well, A, it's the Rolling Stones, and B, it's the album that largely is responsible for my wanting to be a musician and singer. I don't know who they worked with on remastering it, but they did a fantastic job. Really takes me back. I'm loving listening to it. I hope you'll check it out too. So that's what I was excited about this past weekend. I want to read a listener email. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to start doing it. I'm getting more of these lately, but a guy named Brian Young, who I actually spoke with for the podcast for a forthcoming episode somewhat recently, but he wrote me a while back, and here's what he said. Thank you for reaching out to me. I was doing web surfing and ran across your podcast and book, which I will be reading. We just released a new CD, and I'm dealing with the loss of my wife of 43 years and manager of my blues band. I want to donate some of the proceeds from the latest CD to Stand Up to Cancer. I have a great story to tell. Please visit my website for more. Brian also wrote me after we spoke for the podcast, and he said, I want to thank you first for showing up in my life. Thank you for the beautiful vibes, the beautiful flow of vibes we had today, and that was for the podcast he's talking about. If the podcast never airs, it's cool just to know you. You are illuminating. Remember I said I do not know how I got the chance to meet Ringo Starr or B.B. King, Buddy Guy, or all of the ones of great influence in my musical life. You are in that number, brother. May the Supreme Being keep you tuned for life. Well, Brian, thank you. I know I expressed this in some of our emails and conversations. Thank you for coming into my life. And, I know it's a tough time, man. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, too, and I look forward to talking to you some more. Hang in there, man. So, yes, I spoke with Rachel Hearnden for this conversation you're about to hear. She's a drummer at heart and a rocker, multi-instrumentalist. She also plays bass, guitar, piano, didgeridoo. I told her I hate her because she plays all those things. Rachel is a user, as I mentioned, of the collaboration app Tract, which was talked about in recent episode number 174. Wow, that means this is going to be 175. That's amazing, I think. Anyway, that's amazing to me, for me. Rachel's not new to collaboration apps, but found Tract in March of this year, 2020, and tells me what she likes so much about it, how she's using it, and more. Our conversation is related to an article I recently wrote for Forbes.com. You've heard me mention that in some other recent episodes lately, and I'll put links to those episodes, which are related. The article covers the online music collaboration space. I'll have, like I said, a link in the show notes if you want to check that out. I hope you do. I'm working hard to spread awareness among my fellow musicians about these new collaboration apps and web platforms. Some of you will love it. Will love them, the apps and websites, that is. For the rest of you, I think it's important to be acquainted with things like this. It might not be your thing, but you could be helping another musician by sharing what you know. All right, here is me and Rachel Hearnden. What kind of music do you play?
A little bit of everything, actually. My main love is obviously rock music, but a little bit of folk, a little bit of pop, a little bit of rock, just a little bit of everything.
Well, so you sound a little like me. But I'm deep at heart just a rock person. What kind of rock music do you get into?
Classic stuff, probably like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, a lot of prog, so like Genesis, Pink Floyd. I love Guns N' Roses, all, kind of anything really, anything that's kind of got rhythm.
Anything with guitar, bass, and drums, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, at heart, I'm a drummer at heart, so. But yeah, anything that kind of, I don't know, any type of music really. It could be anything from a guitar riff to a little tinkle of something on a piano to even just a bass line that just gets the hairs on the back of my neck up, and I'm like, oh, I'm listening.
Very nice, very nice. So what other instruments do you play?
So primarily, I play the drums, although slightly rusty right now. Bass, guitar, and a little bit of everything really. Piano. I bought myself a didgeridoo when we went into lockdown, so I've been playing that as well.
Well, I officially hate you because you can play all those instruments.
I didn't say I could play them well. a little bit of everything.
So are you?
Jack of all trades, master of none.
So are you out of practice because of the COVID on drums?
Not as such. It's just when I was younger, I wanted to go into like a music career, and life got in the way, and I did other things, and I kind of put things to one side and put things on hold, and then I was like, oh, do you know, I need to get back into it. So I started sort of tinkering again. But since kind of this year when COVID hit, it's been a real opportunity for me to get back into what I love, and using tracks. I mean, that has enabled me to press the play button, as it were, instead of leaving everything on pause. So it's kind of, I'm rediscovering my love of everything again. And it's kind of got the creativity to come back out of me, as opposed to me just kind of going, oh, I'll do that another day, I'll do it another day. Whereas now I can't wait to kind of learn or do something else.
When did you start using Tract?
Back in probably beginning of March.
I'm laughing because I know their usage and registration surged in March, I'm guessing because of COVID for you as well. But
no, not necessarily. I mean, I've been kind of previously to Tract, I'd been using Spire, and just kind of doing a few bits at home, just kind of playing around with it, like doing layering and mixing, and it's only because I happened to upload something on Facebook to say I'm really enjoying playing around at home and recording stuff, and it was actually just before all of the COVID thing. Somebody said, well, why don't you download Tract? And I went, oh, what's Tract? So, somebody recommended it, and I downloaded it, and it was the best thing I ever did. It was everything I could have wanted. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably discovered it in March. But for me, it was purely because I was already kind of getting back into kind of tinkering, as it were.
Yeah. What was the name of the other app that you were using before? And was it web-based or mobile, or app store thing?
Oh, it was app-based. It's called Spire. And it's kind of a similar thing where you've got kind of tracks as such. And there's a few bits on there. But what I liked about Tract is the fact that it was more social. So it might be that I've put a bit of piano down and I think, oh, I don't know what to put with that. And then I've uploaded it and somebody else has put guitar, or somebody else has put bass or something, and it's transformed like what I would normally do, because it might be that I think I've got this great piano piece or this great drum piece, but I can't quite put the guitar that I want, but somebody else has thought better of it.
Do I have to go on Tract to hear any of your stuff, or have you published any, or can I get some by special request?
I have got all of my songs I've uploaded are on my profile on Tract.
Okay, I'll get in there. Check it out.
A couple of weeks ago, I went through TuneCore, and I kind of put like a little. Basically, my sister is a massive fan of my bits and pieces that I've been sending her from Tract, and she said, "I want you to put it on an album so I can just play it." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." and then somebody recommended TuneCore, so I converted the files. I've uploaded them. I think it cost me something like $10 or some, and I've put it on Spotify and Apple Music.
Oh, very nice.
Really strange. I never thought I would say that. So my sister now has been listening to my stuff through that.
Okay,
it's great fun.
And are you there under your name, or do you have like an artist name, or is it Rachel Hearnden? And did I say it right? I was supposed to ask you that before we started, but
you actually got it right. Not many people get it right, but Rachel Hearnden, yes. It's under my name on Apple Music and Spotify.
Cool.
I'm under as Rachel Hearnden, partly on tracks, but my name on there is Humble Bee Blue, all one word.
On Tracked?
Mm-hmm.
Humble Bee, like the flying honey producing bee?
Yeah, honeybee. So it's Humble Bee Blue.
Blue, very nice. I will look for that. No, your name is somewhat similar to mine in spelling, and I actually liked that name, your name, a lot when I was younger, because I was, for whatever silly reasons, kids or people who are born of color or whatever we want to call it, I thought of this because I thought, if I'm ever a famous artist, I'll change my name. Maybe I'll change it to Herndon, although the spelling was slightly different. But now I would never do that. I would just be Rabanzo. So the problem is solved if I really did want to lose it. But I'm cool with my name now, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, my name has been spelt several ways. It's been spelt as Hersden. I even got called Harrington the other week, which is nowhere close.
That's funny.
And they say Herndeen, Herndeen, and I'm like Herndon. It's quite funny. It's quite funny, really. I have to laugh, but I'm happy with my name.
Yeah, my second guess was going to be Hearnden, but I thought it's probably Herndon. Well, cool. Yes, and it was very nice of Grant to connect us. And I, by the way, thank you for scheduling with me when you did.
No problem.
For future listeners of this episode, I was working on an article around the online music collaboration space, and Rachel, being a user of Tracked, one of the founders at Tracked, was nice enough to connect us, and me and a couple of other users, Rachel included, and I offered brownie points for what those are worth for those of them that could book something with me this week. So thank you. It's appreciated.
No, you're very welcome. And honestly, I can't recommend Tracks enough to people. It sounds very corny, but it has changed my life this last couple of months, because I've always been quite a shy person. I'm not really one for kind of saying, look what I've learned, look what I've played, or sharing my music. Whereas now I'm quite proud to say, oh, this is what I've been doing. If you enjoy it, enjoy. If there's anybody who wants to work with me or wants to put vocals, I just love hearing other people's interpretations. So I could put a song on there, somebody put something else, and I think, oh, that's how they hear it. And it's nice to see other people's versions and the way other people think. And I think, there's no other app out there that's like Tracked, where people can actually, kind of get together musically, socially, and collaborate and come together and put those kind of ideas. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. That's
nice. Great endorsement. I've been asking platform creators, the collaboration platform creators, about a question that a lot of artists think about first, and that is who owns the song or songs, and do they provide a mechanism for you to create splits? So when you do something, with other artists, that where everyone's protected. So I want to hear your understanding of how it works, and if it's been a concern for you.
So for me, I think that the person that originally writes a song and shares it, it's their song. And I think that anybody that comes on board and adds everything else, I think it's only fair to split that song, because just as an example, I've got a song called After the Storm Has Gone. And it's just me, some percussion and piano. And one of the other users, I believe you're probably speaking to, is Jamie. I uploaded it, he downloaded it, he collaborated, and he put guitar on it. But for me, I see that as a 50-50 split, because the song wouldn't be what it is now without that guitar. And, you know, I think the person that originally uploads it, yes, it's their song. But I think if it's something going forward that you want to share them publicly as a finished song, I think it's only fair to make it a split.
So you used a word in responding. You said a couple of words. I'll use a couple of words. You think, or I think. Does that mean to imply that you believe that it works like this, but you can't say with 100% certainty? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, because I kind of know already from speaking to Grant what the answer is, and we can talk about that in a second. But I thought this was a good follow up to ask. It's kind of a feedback mechanism for Tract, but anyway, yes.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I've put some bass on a song, but I do believe it's that person's song, because they've uploaded it first. That they've come up with that song. I've just added to it, you know. And I'm as a songwriter, and if it's me uploading the song, if somebody adds to it, I'm more than happy to split that songwriting or that sharing ability with somebody, because for me, if somebody's added something, they've inputted, and if they've inputted, it's only fair that they're part of that process.
Sure.
So for me, yeah, I do have an understanding, and I do believe, you know, that if you are the songwriter and you upload it, yes, initially it's your song, but if you've asked for collaborations and somebody's collaborated, and then you've then gone forward with that, it's only fair that you share that responsibility with somebody else. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does.
The question.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, you came at it from a couple different angles, and my angle or reason for asking was to see if we can alleviate concerns of people who are like, okay, if I start using one of these apps, which I've never done, who owns the song, and do they have a mechanism there for me to do proper splits, and how many ways is it all protected? But let me tell you what Grant said. I don't know if any of this is going to be news to you, but I figure it's fair. The song project owner owns the song. Tract has no rights in the song composition or recording. We simply provide the tools in which to collaborate. Now, the interesting part, maybe the most interesting part for you, we have a major app update imminent, and we've massively expanded the songwriting splits side, which we cannot wait to show our artists. In the current version 2.0, we don't. I might have misspelled here, so I guess they don't have that yet. But he said, "Watch this space," is all I can say for now. So anyway, that sounds like it'll be good.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's like he just said, Tract doesn't own the song, you own the song. That's exactly what Tract is. It's one of those things that if it wasn't for Tract, I wouldn't have known about things like how to promote your song, how to go through things like TuneCore. I wouldn't know half of some of the things I've learned from others. It's actually a very, very useful tool. And he said, it's a tool. And it has been a very useful tool. Some of the things that I've done and recording, and the quality of the music that you record on there is very, very good. You know, and I can't wait for if there's another version, and the things that are going to be ahead. It'll be a very, very good app to work on.
Cool. Do you have a feature wish list that you would like to share?
The only thing for me, it would be nice if, because sometimes you've only got a certain amount. When you upload a song, you can say, okay, I've recorded this in the key of this, or you can put, I think it's like 140 characters or whatever you've put. But it would be nice to have a little bit where you could almost have like a comment section where somebody can suggest something, or they can comment and say, great track, can I add bass, or I'd love to do this, or it'd be nice to have something where you can add comments, I think.
Okay, that sounds pretty simple. Hopefully they've heard that one before, but if not, they will now.
Let's hope so.
So, and when you say that, had it not been for Tract, you wouldn't have learned about, TuneCore and how to get your music out on streaming. It sounds like that learning was the product of the social platform that is part of the Tract ecosystem, or was there a little bit of Tract has like a resource library of kind of like a knowledge base for questions like you were having when someone said, "Hey, I want to listen to your stuff like I normally listen to music."
Yeah, I think it's any of the. What's great about it is that on there they're always very helpful. So if there's any problems, they say contact us. So it's very easy to go click contact us, and you can ask the questions. You can ask questions, and you can say, "Oh, how do I do this?" or "How does this work?" And they're very quick at coming back and help, and giving you the best advice. That's all I can say really is, it's, "Oh, how do I do this?" or "How do I set this?" And it could be that somebody else comes back and says, "Oh, actually, this is how you can do it," and you think, "Oh, that's great." So they're very, very helpful.
That's cool. Good to hear. They sound like good guys, guys and gals. Small team as they are, and it sounds like the number of users has really blown up, which is wonderful. I've read that about and also spoken with some other platforms, and seems that everyone in the space experienced an uptick. I've been telling people I'm kind of most interested in a platform that it's actually been around since I think 2007, and it's web-based. It a little more now. Not that Tract does not do this, because it sounds like Tract also does, but it does cater to players more than maybe like beat makers or DJs, right?
Yeah.
And they have a similar concept, but I think it's all just web-based, and you're using your own DAW, digital audio workstation, and uploading and downloading tracks, but the whole sharing and inviting people to collaborate is there. And I love what they're doing. I guess that brings me back to a question, and I should know the answer to this because my conversation with Grant and some of the research I've done, but some of the different everyone's approaching this a little differently, so my head's a little jumbled because I've been doing a lot of reading about it today specifically. But does Tract does it kind of have its own cloud-based DAW, or are you basically uploading a track that's like in demo form, and then when it gets shared, like if I wanted to contribute vocals or something to one of your tracks, am I downloading and then putting it in my own DAW, or am I using the app to actually just record it?
So for me, if sometimes I've used other platforms. So I've had a couple of bits where I've programmed some drums, or I've done a couple of bits via GarageBand. And from GarageBand, I can upload the audio to Tract, and then from there I can then record over that. Or if there's something that I've recorded elsewhere, I can upload it to Tract. It's the tool is there to either use Tract, the actual recording, the part of it, or you can upload something to say, here's a track that I've already done. It's a good tool to do either of those things.
Okay.
I mean, for me, a lot of my stuff is in demo form. I come up with an idea. Everybody does it differently, I think. Some people, will work on something and get it to a completely finished track and then upload it and share it for everybody. Other people like me might just have a little bit of a demo form and tinker about with a bit of guitar and say, I need some bass, and then somebody will download it onto their song bit, and they can add what they want and then upload, and it comes back as a retrack.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody. I think it caters for each type of person and what they want to do with that particular piece of music. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm talking to a guy, another Tract subscriber, who's pretty active and also has has published some of his stuff on Spotify and probably elsewhere. And I'm guessing that he uses Tract for the whole thing because he's like a street performer, so he travels all over the world. And I'm hard pressed.
Marcus?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, he's great.
So he's probably doing everything in Tract, I'm guessing. But we'll see. Maybe I don't know. Does he have a traveling DAW with him? I mean, I guess it's not that hard, right?
He does do quite. Yeah, I think he does use mostly Tract.
I mean, I guess for him, he's not like my recording. It's funny. I got into recording this year as well, but as a drummer, as you can imagine, as you know, I had to get kind of a larger audio interface, somewhat larger, to have 8 channels, and I have a bunch of mics and stands. So I couldn't see, I couldn't do it if I was a traveling player. I'd be, I guess, programming some drums and maybe just playing hand percussion. But for him, the nature of the music he plays, I guess it wouldn't be that hard. That maybe he's got a really, like one of these small Scarlett audio interfaces that travels with him and his laptop, and he can do it just as easy on the road.
A lot of what he does, I've seen some of his videos and bits and pieces, and he has like a small setup, and I think like he'll have like a very small setup with like a snare drum and a couple of other bits. But as to how he does it, I don't know, but he's good.
Yeah. I'll have to ask him this afternoon. I'm guessing it's he's really using everything Tract has to offer, where you're kind of doing a mixed bag because of that. So Rachel, were you recording music at home before you discovered Tract, or was Tract sort of the beginning of all your recording?
So I used to kind of probably not so much recording, but I used to play a lot of things, and I used to think, I always wanted to record stuff, but the quality of trying to record things on your phone is, it's not very easy. And then I discovered Spire, and it just so happened, I think I was just Googling or looking up good apps to record music, and it's probably tail end of last year, into the new year, and I've never really had the opportunity to kind of record anything, and I started using Spire, and it was a very similar kind of thing that, you can have the monitor on there, there's recording levels, and you can record things, but it still had that, sounded like a phone being left in the room, like when you're on call to somebody and you can hear something in the background. It didn't quite have the same, but Tract, there's something about the way that it's recorded, that the sound quality is better than anything I've used, and probably because of Tract that I've really, really got into recording music now, more than I have done in ever, I think.
So what do you say to artists, or what would you say to musicians? We'll use that word instead, but to musicians who really haven't done any recording, but they're otherwise have all the anything they need based on your experience now with Tract. What would you say to them about Tract, or trying it, or would you encourage them to do so?
Yes, I would. Even if it's just to use it as a demo form to say, I've got this idea, and you don't necessarily have to publish what you've recorded. You can actually just record it and listen back and think, oh, that's a good idea, I'll do this or I'll do that. It's a great tool that if you want to publish your music and you want collaborations and you want to have it in the public, that kind of domain, you can. But if you want to use it as a tool to record things and get ideas, and especially if you're a bit like Marcus, if you're somebody that's always on the go and you're around, 90% of us carry our phone in our pocket. So having Tract with you all the time is such a useful tool because, inspiration comes from everywhere. So you could be on a train or you could be out for a walk and you think, I've got this idea. Or you can just get your phone out of your pocket, record it, and you've got it. I think that's the good thing about just modern technology now, is that the technology is so far probably more complex than anything that's been before. So I would encourage anybody to give it a go. Whether you want to write a complete song or a demo or even just getting some ideas down, I would recommend anybody that wants to get into recording music or do it, just go and do it. It's great. It really is great.
All right, you talked me into it. So what's the number one reason that you would tell them to, or what would be your answer to someone who says, well, I can just record it on my voice memo thing on my iPhone?
But can you record 8 tracks on your voice memo?
No.
There you go.
I love it.
Honestly, it's the quality of what you're recording as well, because not only have you got the 8 tracks, but you've got a mixer. And the quality of the sound that you get is it's as close as being in a recording studio as what you're going to get, I think, personally, from my own personal listening back to stuff that's been recorded.
Well, I'm intrigued. I'll have to give it a try. I knew I would be anyway, because I wanted to go in and explore it, and so you
won't regret it. And it's great because it's things like not only do you record and upload your own music, but you actually discover other artists as well. There are people on there that I go, oh, who's that? And you know, it might be that you find them then on Spotify, and you realise that they've got an album out, and you listen to it, and you think, well, there's all this other music that you discover because of that app. It's not just about recording and collaborating, but discovering as well. Honestly, I really enjoy it, and I couldn't recommend it enough to anybody, to be honest.
I love it. Well, Rachel, thank you again for spending time with me. It's been wonderful connecting with you, and really nice talking with you as well.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you on track, Ronzo.
Cheers. This episode was powered by ConvertKit. I have been a ConvertKit user since early 2016, and I really love it for the email marketing aspects of what I do. It's more than just an email marketing company, though. They are focused on landing pages too, giving beginner creators everything they need to start building their email lists. Their new free plan allows creators to make unlimited landing pages and forms, and you can choose from multiple templates, personalize them with design, include an incentive email, create a thank you page, manage all your subscribers, and of course send broadcast emails. The support is great, and that is important to me. To learn how ConvertKit can help you connect with your audience so that you can make a living doing work you love, go to unstarvingmusician.com/convert or the show notes for this episode. This episode was powered by Bandzoogle, the easiest all-in-one professional website platform for musicians and bands. 2 things that will help ensure you're in control of your music business and your fan-based community are a website and an email list. Bandzoogle can help you do both. Plus, a solid website makes you look legitimate. Serious musicians, singers, songwriters, composers, and performers know this to be true. If you don't yet have your own website, check out Bandzoogle. It was created by musicians for musicians. I use it and I love it. It's as easy to use gets, and you don't have to worry about plugin updates and security patches. Bandzoogle takes care of all that for you. The features and support are both incredible. See for yourself. Go to bandzoogle.com to start a 30-day free trial and use the promo code ROBONZO to get 15% off your first year. Plans start at just $8.29 a month. That's bandzoogle.com, promo code ROBONZO, ROBONZO, to start your free trial today. Did you know you can help other independent artists find this podcast by subscribing on Apple Podcast or wherever you are listening to your podcast these days? It really does help, so I hope you will consider it. The Unstarving Musician podcast is made possible through the support and generosity of listeners like you. One of the easiest ways to support the podcast, if you're a musician, is to join the Unstarving Musician community, which you can do at, you guessed it, unstarvingmusician.com. In joining the community, you get tips and insights you can use in your music journey that comes not only from me and my years of experience, but also from the hundreds of other musicians that I speak to as part of the Unstarving Musician project and podcast. Plus, you'll get a free copy of my Unstarving Musician's Guide to Getting Paid Gigs ebook, the official version, and that's all for free just for being part of the community. You can learn about other ways of offering support by visiting the Unstarving Musician crowd sponsor page at unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor. And if you have feedback, please go to unstarvingmusician.com to get all my contact info. You can text me, call me, email me, leave a voice message right there on that page. Just go down to the bottom of the page and you'll find everything you need to know. I really would love to hear any of your comments, suggestions, questions, whatever you've got. And you can find links to just about everything talked about in this episode at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. All right, I'm peacing out. Thank you for listening and sharing with your musician friends and fellow indie music fans. Peace, gratitude, and a whole lot of love.